And we now take a look at President Trump in the crosshairs and how he's been investigated, sued, and impeached all since taking office. We speak tonight to Norm Eisen, impeachment counsel to the House Judiciary Committee and author of A Case for the American People, the United States versus Donald J. Trump. He was also President Obama's ethics czar and a former ambassador. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
My pleasure. So glad to be with you.
So you helped write the 2 impeachment articles against President Trump. You reveal in your book that you had drafted 10 articles before narrowing the focus to the Ukraine affair. Do you think anything would have changed if you had cast a broader net?
I used to believe that if we had cast the broadest possible net, it could have made a difference. And then I spent 2 weeks on the floor of the United States Senate as counsel, one of the counsel to the House managers for the impeachment trial. And I saw that despite the overwhelming proof of the 2 strongest possible articles that the president had extorted and shaken down Ukraine to attack his political adversaries in our American elections, despite that evidence, and even admitting that we had proved a quid pro quo, those senators, with the brave exception of Mitt Romney, were not willing to convict the president. So, unfortunately, I have concluded that it does not make a difference. It's up to the American people, and that's why I wrote this book.
And curious, because you just brought up Mitt Romney. He was the only Republican senator to vote for Trump's conviction. Did that surprise you at the time? And looking back, could the Democrats have done anything differently to achieve a more bipartisan outcome?
The decision of Mitt Romney was not a complete surprise. The biggest surprise is I report my behind-the-scenes conversations with Mitt Romney. As he struggled with the issues, he struggled with his conscience. You could see him doing it, and he gradually came around. The book is also full of mistakes that I made. I made more than my share along the way. I suppose if I had made fewer, it could have made a difference.
Former National Security Advisor John Bolton refused to testify at the impeachment trial, but later accused Democrats of, quote, impeachment malpractice for not investigating Trump's dealings beyond Ukraine. Bolton had also said that Trump had asked for China's help in the election. How do you respond to Bolton's accusation?
The book includes the 10 previously secret articles of impeachment, and we describe the investigation along the way. So what John Bolton says is just not true. We did investigate very broadly. I write about the evidence that we discovered, including startling new evidence that the president colluded, that we heard from the president's own former allies, that the president did collude with Russia. So that and much more evidence would have been completed if John Bolton had come in and talked to us. And we begged him to do it. Everyone knew we were investigating broadly. Ultimately, it's John Bolton's fault. I explain in the book why we could have gotten more articles of impeachment if only he had stepped forward, and we could have blown open the impeachment trial in the Senate, had even more witnesses if only he'd stepped forward. If there was any malpractice, it's John Bolton's malpractice with respect to his constitutional duty, his responsibilities as an American. Instead, he chose to put it in a book and cash in. That is reprehensible.
And is that what you have concluded is the reason that he didn't step forward, just to put it in a book?
I think he did it for the worst and really, I'm sad to say, the most un-American of reasons. It wasn't just money. He was clearly interested in the big payday. I've come to the conclusion that the reason John Bolton refused to cooperate with us, and he could have proved almost every one of those 10 articles of impeachment that I reveal for the first time that I drafted, Bolton chose not to step forward and help us prove those articles of impeachment and defend our country because he didn't want to work with Democrats. Shame. The book is full of stories about how we tried various ways to get him to cooperate. We extended a bipartisan hand to him to ask for his help, and he refused to do it. I believe the real explanation is he was willing to take a subpoena from the Republican majority Senate, but he wouldn't cooperate because of party That is wrong. That is not what America is about.
Last question, but it's really a two-parter because I'm interested in piggybacking on what you just said. You said that Bolton could have proved every one of those articles. First question is, would that have even made a difference anyway? Second part of the question is, if Trump wins re-election this fall, do you think that the Democrats could try to impeach him again? And if they do, what lessons do you think that they have learned from the first impeachment? The
role of Bolton was explained to me by a very senior person, someone who is a Trump appointee, a very conservative Republican who said to me, if there's one man in Washington, D.C. who can flip these Republicans and get them to support impeachment, it's John Bolton. So that's the difference that John could have made if he had stepped forward. And you know, I think that the book has lessons that would apply to any future proceedings, not just against President Trump, but against other presidents. And they're also important lessons because I believe that President Trump is not, if he loses, going to go peacefully from the White House. I think he's going to fight with every tactic and all the energy that he has. And the book is a blueprint to what he's going to do and how to respond to it. He is going to use the legal system and distort the legal system. He's going to lie. He's going to get Bill Barr. Every scandal in the book, I take you behind the scenes. Bill Barr, if Trump's the commander-in-chief, Bill Barr is the enabler-in-chief. But now the difference is the American people are awake. And they're aware. We're seeing that in the polls. They don't like what they see from the president. And it's going to take the biggest lesson of the book. It's called A Case for the American People. I'm arguing in the book to the American people that it's time for them to act. And I think the public is behind accountability for Donald Trump now. It won't have to wait for a second impeachment. They're going to deliver their final verdict in November, I believe.
Ambassador Eisen, we thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.